Ohayo gozaimasu. That's how you say good morning in Japanese. And you know, if you've watched this vlog, not only do I know how to speak Japanese, but I go to Japan often. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking about visiting the country, going to Tokyo and eating some delicious food. So today I want to share with you guys some basic Japanese words and phrases in the context of ordering food at a restaurant. A lot of us go there because we love the food, and I know it can be intimidating not only trying to speak a new language, but specifically speaking Japanese. So not only do I want to teach you these words and phrases, I want to help you be more confident in using Japanese so that you're not scared to go and order your favorite foods like ramen or whatever. And so with that being said, let's get started. But I also want to thank Rosetta Stone, the #1 language learning app for the last 30 years, for making it possible to make this video. Thank you so much for partnering with me. And let's get started. I'm also going to be making these Japanese sweet potatoes, by the way, for lunch while we're doing it. All right, so I just taught you how to say good morning, which is ohayo gozaimasu. Let's get right into the other greetings you're definitely want to know. So in the morning, obviously you're going to say good morning and you're going to say ohayo gozaimasu. But if it's the afternoon, you're going to say hello, which is konnichiwa, konnichiwa. So this will be after the morning, anytime in the afternoon, before the evening. Now, if it's the evening, if it's nighttime, you're going to say good evening, which is konbanwa, konbanwa. These are the 3 different ways to say hello to a Japanese person throughout the day at different times of the day. So good morning is ohayo gozaimasu. Hello is konnichiwa, which you use in the afternoon. And then good evening is konbanwa, which you use obviously in the evening, after the afternoon, anytime at night. Why this is so important to learn these 3 and to use them at the right times of the day is a lot of people are intimidated by speaking Japanese and going to Japan and trying to say these words. But did you know that Japanese people are also intimidated to not only learn English, but to use English? So for you to go out of your way, one, to use these Japanese words, but to understand in what context you use each one at what time of the day will show them that you're putting out an effort to not only learn Japanese, but understand their culture and their society. And just breaking the ice with this is going to go a long way to serve you and make your whole experience so much better. I really believe part of being confident in speaking Japanese when you go visit Tokyo or you're going into the restaurant is just putting out an effort and showing them you're willing to learn. So many Japanese people deal with tourists that don't learn any Japanese at all, expect them to know English. And I'd say even though Japan is a very hospitable country, very friendly and kind, when it comes to speaking English, it's probably one of the #1 countries that don't speak it very much. Just understanding these terms is going to go a very long way to give you a much better experience, and trust me, they're going to really appreciate it, and it's going to make the whole rest of the process much easier. You know how to say hello in 3 different ways for 3 different times of the day. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, asking for a table and knowing how to get the process started for ordering food. The #1 thing that someone's going to ask you is how many people in your party. You might not even know that that's what they're saying. This is just what I would recommend you be ready to say when you enter a restaurant, especially if it's busy. You know, there's a lot of communal sitting type of restaurants, especially at izakaya. So knowing how to say this will be really important. Now, if you're by yourself, it's going to be very obvious, but I'm also going to include saying just 1 person. We're going to do 1 person, we're going to do 2 people, we're going to do 3 people, and 4 people. If you're by yourself, the first thing you're going to tell them when you want to signal how big your party is, hitori. Hitori. That's just me. That's by myself. That's 1 person. If I've got 2 people with me, I'm going to say futari. Futari. For 3 people, you're going to say san nin. San nin. For 4 people, you're going to say yonin. Yonin. Now, I know what you're asking. It's like, well, if you're with your party, wouldn't it be obvious how many people are with you? See, oftentimes Japanese restaurants are really small, and so is the entrance, and there's not enough room for your whole party. You'll notice a lot of people in Japan line up outside. And so you, as the person that's hosting or leading or bold enough to go in there and start using some of these terms, you're going to represent your group. And this is why it's important to be able to say it. This is the other thing too. Even if you're by yourself, you still want to be able to say hitori, so that if there is an opening for one person, you can get in there and get yourself squeezed into that one seat. Like a ramen shop, for example, oftentimes people go there by themselves. So that's very common. And maybe there's a whole lineup, but they've got room for one person to sit at the bar. This is why even saying hitori, which is just one person, is going to be very useful to get yourself started and get your whole party seated. These sweet potatoes are smelling amazing. And if you're in Japan, you should definitely try Japanese sweet potatoes. Sometimes they cook them on the side of the street. It's like a street food. All right, continuing the conversation about how to have a conversation in a restaurant in Japanese and learn these words. In Japan, politeness and humility go a very long way, especially as Americans. Sometimes we might not have the best reputation abroad. In Japanese, they deal with all kinds of tourists, not just from America, but all over. And so having etiquette, knowing how to say please, thank you, excuse me, really will help you to kind of not only break the ice and connect, but show again that you're willing to learn their manners and their etiquette and learn the way things are done in Japan. Because the thing about Japan that you're going to learn real quick, order is really important, and respect. Having respect for each other, having respect for the business, for the food, and for yourself, and especially having respect just for society in general. I'm going to teach you how to be polite and have humility through these 4 words. So the number 1 will be please or I request. Secondly will be thank you. Third will be excuse me. And then 4th will be I'm sorry or I apologize. So the first one will be please or I request. And that's going to be onegai shimasu. Onegai shimasu. Now, onegai shimasu kind of has 2 kind of meanings to it. It both is please and I request. A Japanese person is going to know what you mean. Don't worry about when to use it or knowing, how to use it. You're just going to say onegai shimasu. For example, if you're asking for water, you're going to say mizu, which is Japanese for water. You're going to say mizu onegai shimasu. Mizu onegai shimasu. Or if you're going to request anything. Like for example, if you're going to say one person, I would say hitori onegai shimasu. Now, is that proper Japanese? I don't know. But the reason I'm interjecting onegai shimasu right away up front is, again, I'm trying to kind of impress them and let them know, hey, I'm not just any tourist. I'm a tourist trying to learn Japanese, and I'm trying to practice these words. So I would totally use onegai shimasu as early as possible. The second term you're going to want to learn is thank you. Super easy. It's arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. So saying thank you as many times as you can might seem like you're really trying to please them or, kind of like show off, but they love it when you're grateful. Americans haven't done a great job. I'm speaking as one, by the way, haven't done a great job of learning other languages when you go to other countries, because we are very privileged to have English being commonly spoken all over the world. But when it comes to Japan, I'm telling you, knowing Japanese is going to be a big deal. And this is probably the number 1 term you're going to want to learn, which is thank you. Arigato gozaimasu. Next one is going to be excuse me. The way you say excuse me is sumimasen. Sumimasen. The context of when you would use excuse me is really obvious. Say you bump into somebody and you want to say excuse me, you would say sumimasen, like that. You say sumimasen, like that. Or maybe you want to get your waiter or server's attention. So the way I would do it is I would kind of put up my hand a little bit, not too high, a little bit, and I would say sumimasen, sumimasen. So maybe I want to order some water, an extra beer, or I'm ready to order my food. I would say sumimasen. That'll also be really important to understand as well. Last but not least is I'm sorry. Now, why would you be apologizing? Because hopefully you don't do anything wrong. But there is one example I would use to say I'm sorry. That's going to be really important. I'm going to teach you in a second. But the way you say I'm sorry is gomen nasai. Gomen nasai. That's how you say sorry in Japanese. Gomen nasai. How I would use it is, say as you're trying to communicate to this person or just order your food. Obviously, this person by this point understands you're not a fluent Japanese speaker. They might know some English, but if they don't know some English, they're not trying to have full-on conversations. But saying gomen nasai, whether it's maybe you spilled water or maybe you're having trouble saying your order or ordering some food, it's showing that you're apologizing for creating some friction. See, in Japan, things are so orderly. If you go to the train stations, you just see all the trains are on time. When you go on an escalator, the Japanese people, they line up on the left side so that people that are in a rush can go up the right side. And everywhere, everything's very timely and on time for a reason. It's a society all about order. So say you go into a restaurant, this is one of the reasons some restaurants will not serve tourists or foreign speaking people because they can't handle, especially if they're busy or if they've got a lot of people to serve, somebody that needs too much help. This actually happens, by the way. When you're in the restaurant, by this time obviously they're going to serve you, but saying I'm sorry, gomen nasai, because maybe you can't order smoothly, it will just make them feel like, oh wow, I don't want this person to feel bad about not being able to speak. I'm not kidding you. That is what they're going to say. So they're going to say something like iya or daijobu. Iya means no, or daijobu is like it's okay. Because remember, Japan is a very hospitable country. They have some of the best service and honestly some of the best food. And they don't want you to feel uncomfortable, even though it's uncomfortable to speak a new language and try to speak Japanese to this person that maybe doesn't know English. So you saying gomen nasai for anything, right, especially if you don't know how to say the words correctly, is going to really serve you well. So the last term in terms of etiquette, politeness, and having humility would be I'm sorry. Gomen nasai. As you've noticed, these are really basic words and terminology for speaking Japanese and ordering food in a restaurant when you're visiting Tokyo or Japan. But if you're watching this video, it's probably because you want to actually learn Japanese. So I want to thank the partner of this video, Rosetta Stone. 30 years they've been teaching languages. In fact, they've got 25 different options, and it's very convenient to get on any device. You can download it from the App Store right onto your phone. You can put it onto your computer. You can even put it onto your watch. One of the things that makes it really awesome is no matter how much time you have, they've got 10-minute lessons. So even if you're on the go or you have a really short break, you can learn Japanese, you can learn all these other languages. And probably one of my favorite functions is the fact that you can download audio lessons onto your devices, especially your watch. I always have my watch on me. So if I've got headphones, I can be listening to Japanese lessons on the go. And one of the things that makes Rosetta Stone very unique is they've got this perfect pronunciation with their pronunciation engine tool to help you guys lock down those specific accents for different languages. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa.
女の人
Onna no hito.
男の子
Otoko no ko. So if you're curious like me to learn more Japanese, I've been loving the app. I love Rosetta Stone. Check out my discount code or the QR code to get the discount down below so you guys can get started in learning. There are 25 different languages, including Japanese, down in the description. All right, so you learned how to say hello or greet somebody. You learned how to say how many people in your party, and you learn how to be polite. Now we gotta actually order something. And so there's 3 things I wanna teach you. Number 1, you're gonna be asking for an English menu. 2, you're going to be actually asking for something very specific. And 3, you're going to ask them their recommendation. So a lot of restaurants, they will actually have English menus. And by this time, they probably know that you're English speaking. And if they have an English menu, they usually will hand you one. But not always. Maybe they're busy. Maybe you already sat down and they come to your table and you want to just ask them, can I have an English menu? What you would say is, Eigo no menu onegai shimasu. Remember that word onegai shimasu? It's kind of like please, or it's like I'm requesting. You're going to say Eigo no menu onegai shimasu. Eigo is English. No menu, menu is menu. Onegai shimasu. Please, or I request. If you say that, they're going to definitely know what you're saying. They'll give you an English menu. Now, not all places have English menus. So maybe the next part is going to be really crucial because now you're going to actually order something. Now, if you've got an English menu, it's going to be way easier because you're going to be able to read things. But if you don't have an English menu, you're going to have to look at things. So what I would do is, say you're already at a restaurant where you know what you want to order, or maybe you just are requesting something specific. What you're going to do is say the word or say the thing you want to eat, and you're going to follow it up with please or I request. And the way you'd say is, I like to order this, please. The way you say is, for example, beer. Biru onegai shimasu. Now, a lot of people will say kudasai. That's another option. The reason I would recommend saying onegai shimasu, it's a little bit more formal. And remember, one thing that we're trying to do is not just say Japanese, but show them some respect. They will love this. So I would say onegai shimasu. Point to the thing that you want to order and you're going to say kore onegai shimasu. Kore is this. Or if you know the thing, like for example, it's tempura. You're at a tempura shop. You can say tempura onegai shimasu. Or biru onegai shimasu. Now, this isn't proper Japanese. There's a better phrase, and again, you can go learn it on Rosetta Stone how to say the proper sentences. But in a quick pinch, or if you just want to say the most basic thing, you're going to say the thing you want. So I keep using beer. I love Japanese beer. You're going to say biru, and then you're going to say please or I request onegai shimasu. Now, the third thing I want to teach you about ordering is, maybe you don't know what to order. Maybe you went to a restaurant, you got a little bit risky, and you went somewhere that is maybe unknown to you. And maybe it's just all Japanese people. They don't have any English menu, and you kind of need help ordering. So one term that I personally use a lot, even though I know how to read menus, I have different camera apps to help translate the menu that I'm looking at, is getting their recommendation. If I was going to get their recommendation, what I would say is, osusume wa nan desu ka? Osusume wa nan desu ka? Let's try it one more time. Osusume wa nan desu ka? That's what do you recommend? Now, this might be a little scary because what if they start thinking, oh, this guy knows Japanese or he's gonna understand what he means? I don't think that's gonna happen. They're just gonna be flattered that you're speaking so much Japanese and you're trying these terms. Why I like this is because Japanese people, they have this thing called omakase at sushi restaurants. It's basically chef's choice. And this is another way of saying omakase to them or giving them the choice. And it's a great way for them to tell you what you should order. Izakaya is a great example. Izakayas are bars with food. That's the quick translation that I would give. And they're all over Tokyo. They're all over Japan. Oftentimes, they don't have proper menus. They have menus that they write that day because a lot of the ingredients are fresh, or they're just cooking whatever seasonal or whatever the chef wants. So saying this term of osusume wa nan desu ka, what would you recommend, is going to be super, super helpful. And I would highly recommend learning how to say that. And if you do, most people in most restaurants would totally give you recommendations. And honestly, whatever it is I recommend, totally try it, because also Japanese, and I think any chef, is always flattered when you're willing to try something new. So definitely, osusume wa nan desu ka? It'll help you so much when ordering food in Japan. You probably already got your food. You're just about done. These last 3 phrases are just to top off the meal and your experience at the restaurant. 3 things I'm gonna teach you. Number 1, where's the bathroom? Because we all need to use a bathroom after drinking 3 or 4 or 5 beers at the izakaya. I'm gonna teach you how to say it was delicious. And the third one will be, it was a great meal. So these 3 things are the last things that somebody may want to say and definitely might need to say. First one is, where's the bathroom? The way you ask for the bathroom in Japan is, where's the toilet? Hence the Japanese way of saying, where's the toilet? Toire wa doko desu ka? Toire wa doko desu ka? Toire being toilet, wa doko desu ka, where is it? If you ask that to any server, they're gonna totally understand what you're saying. Now, what I would recommend is before you ask that question, say, sumimasen, sumimasen. You don't have to say it twice, but if you have to get their attention. But that is excuse me. So you're gonna say, sumimasen, and you're gonna get their attention. They're like, whatever they would say. And you say, toire wa doko desu ka? And they're gonna point you in the direction, or they might even bring you there. That's how you say, where's the toilet, or where's the bathroom? I need to take a leak. The second thing is, it was delicious, or the food was delicious. I'm gonna teach you the most simple thing to say, which is, oishii desu, oishii desu. That is all you need to say. If you point to the food, or you kind of like put your hand on your stomach and you say, oishii desu. Now, every single cook, every chef in the whole world, but especially in Japan, they love sharing their food with people and getting gratitude and appreciation back. So saying, oishii desu, it was delicious, is gonna totally make their day. Sometimes as I'm walking out the restaurant, probably doesn't happen often, I will tell the chef directly, oishii desu. Now there's a third term you're gonna learn, which is the meal was great. This is a more formal way of saying it. It's probably the least used of all the things I'm teaching, but I think it's a great term to have in your vocabulary when you're eating a lot in Japan. And that is, I enjoyed this meal, or this meal was great. The way you say that is, gochiso sama deshita. Gochiso sama deshita. That translates to, the meal was great, and you say it at the very end. I learned how to say this in family meals at home. You just say it after everything is done, you've ate all your food, and you're about to leave. Gochiso sama deshita. Hi! So you're gonna say, toire wa doko desu ka? That's where's the bathroom. Hi! You're gonna say, this was delicious, oishii desu. And then you're gonna say, this meal was great, gochiso sama deshita. Miso butter. Takes a while, but totally worth the wait. Japanese sweet potato. Woo! Hot. All right, so I've just got 2 more things I want to teach you before I end this vlog. And the first one is about apologizing for not being able to speak Japanese and that you're still studying. The point I want to drive in this video is the fact that you can totally speak Japanese and use these words, but you don't have to be fluent in Japanese to go to Japan and to order food in a restaurant while you're in Tokyo or wherever else in the country. See, the effort is really important, and the humility. Japanese people are very prideful. They love their country. They take pride in what they do, and they really want to serve you. So if they see that you're trying to use Japanese words, and more importantly, you're putting out an effort, that's what matters at the end of the day. And I would hate for you guys to be intimidated to, one, go to Japan because you can't speak the language, and secondly, be afraid to try a restaurant or go to this one place to try this, unique food because you feel like maybe they're gonna turn you away or not understand you. You don't have to say all the sentences perfectly, just say these words. Last 2 things I want to teach is apologizing that you're still studying Japanese. In fact, I have to actually read this. So what you're going to be saying is, I'm still learning to study Japanese, or I'm still studying Japanese. The way you say it is 日本語はまだ勉強中です。日本語はまだ勉強中です。So it translates to 日本語, Japanese, はまだ, not yet, 勉強中です. I'm still studying. Okay, so basically I'm still studying Japanese and I have yet to learn. That would be the easiest way to translate that. If you say that, it shows so much humility as well as the fact that you're still studying. They will love it. And then, you can follow it up with, I apologize, say, gomen nasai. Remember, the thing about Japan, especially a restaurant, things are very orderly. And when things are busy, it's really hard to cater to somebody that might not be able to speak the language. And I've heard stories of people getting turned away. But if you know these basic terms, especially when you're greeting people when you first enter the door, you tell them how many people are in your party and you're using these, it's just going to make it easier for all involved. And if you use this term and you say gomen nasai, they almost feel like they have to go out of the way to apologize to you, because really they might feel like I should know more English, when at the end of the day, I think it's appropriate for us as tourists and visitors to not just Japan, any country, to learn some basic terms. They will just want to reciprocate by saying it's totally okay. And so that's what I would say. If you're wanting to be more confident in speaking and actually be able to be conversation ready, go check out Rosetta Stone. They're actually offering a 60% off the lifetime membership for the language learning app. The link is down below. And the good thing is you can totally gift this, especially with the holidays coming up. And the last thing I want to teach you guys is sayonara, which is goodbye. It's the last thing you should say when you leave the restaurant. Peace! Or should I say sayonara?